Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we started up the Mind Plague minor DLC and got through the first mission, and we are now looking at effectively the results screen, showing that between the initial decision I took and completing the mission, my success rating went up, but my collateral damage is still high. And then the debriefing, we stopped the mercenaries, and that the Ordo Savants are working on identifying the cause of the behavior. And in the next step, it's showing, it's now affected a void ship, and we'll likely have to investigate that. So we'll go back in. And now we have to go to, or at least fight on the void ship. Imperial Navy lost contact with a supply vessel shortly after it sent out a distress signal. The last legible transmissions described an inexplicable mind plague that has turned the crew into gore-thirsty maniacs. The case is clearly linked to the previous incident.
Electrospectral scanning revealed multiple entry nodes to the mnemonic network. Locate cogitator stations to gain access. May the Omnisire guide your hand.
Man, now I'm really liking this las rifle. This means I'm gonna have to go through all the weapons and see what else I've been ignoring. Just to make sure that I haven't passed over other good weapons. I know I bring it up a lot, but man, I miss Space Marine. I realized something while playing this and thinking about it. They had a mode where I think you either had to destroy an enemy dreadnought or escort a dreadnought. I haven't played Space Marine in so many years that I barely remember multiplayer modes. I just remember combat. But I don't remember having any problems with how the dreadnought was, which just brings me back to Eternal Crusade and makes me really sad. The wacky part is Relic is the ones who made it, and I don't know what Relic's doing right now, realistically. I should probably look, because I mean, I get it, 40K isn't exactly a top seller. It's no Call of Duty. You're not going to be selling 8 gorillion copies of Space Marine 2. But man, fan base would really like it. I don't think... Honestly, I know nobody who has had a problem with Space Marine. Not a single person has been like, oh, I didn't like that game. Everybody's been like, yeah, it actually got being a Space Marine down really well. And instead of making a new one, we're stuck in limbo with crap games.
I wonder what this
Point of
machine
entry
does.
established. Harvesting data from compromised network. Warning, hostile units inbound.
Like, I don't think it's a crap game per se, but I think it's Gladius Relics of War. It was effectively Civilization in how, like, the hex units, hex tiles are, and how you move your armies along hexes and they fight and stuff. And the second I saw it, I watched actually a lot of gameplay of it, and all I could think is, so it's Discount Dan's version of Civ. And it just made me really sad.
Dynamic extraction complete. The harvested data is secure. Injecting purge protocols to compromised node. Locate next station.
I would even take a game where you play as the Imperial Guard. I think it'd be really cool. You realistically could do some interesting things with an Imperial Guard game. You know, do something kind of like this where it's randomly gen tiles, but first person. You know, have a bunch of open air ones where you fight on planets, and you start out. They'd have to be pretty big. I feel like you'd almost have to go in the vein of how Dust 514 did map generation, where it was peg and socket, where you have a general map terrain, but then the sockets have different building pieces you can put in. And then from there, you have your player joining large-scale conflicts, fighting whoever or whatever. And you could go... There's a lot you could do, because then you could eventually have your character rank up to lead, effectively be like a commissar or something. If you want to do hardcore, they could actually reset progress when they die. And from there, I'm just thinking, you could have different AI kind of toggling. What comes to mind is in RimWorld, how the storytellers are different. You know, you'd have, like, I think it was Randy Random, or other ones that might be more mundane, and that could be kind of your difficulty modifier. Do you have the AI that's going to throw different battlefield modifiers at you at once? Is it going to be, you know, oh, you're just fighting Trader Guardsmen, or hey, it's going to be Trader Guardsmen with the potential for a Khorne Demon incursion, and you throw in another modifier, oh, the enemy gets extra armored vehicle support. You know, you still have an objective of fight to maybe a Vox station and destroy it, and that's your mission. And then it'll take you out, you go back to a mission select. And even the storyteller could affect some of the AI or some of the mission variety. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. When it comes to 40K, there's just so much you can do. You just need to, at times, think a little outside the box.
Emperor.
Like I had mentioned a couple weeks ago, the idea of a 40K Souls game. You know, you could very easily do it. And it fits within 40K in terms of extreme difficulty, kind of meshing completely with how 40K has always been represented.
I slay in thy name.
It would just take a studio to do it. Granted, admittedly making a 40K Souls game is a challenge unto itself, because depending on how much mobility you give the player, that can be a matter, and then if you watch enough stuff, you find that there's a lot of kind of dumpster quality 40K games, or not 40K, Souls games in existence.
Point of entry established. Harvesting data from compromised network. Warning, hostile units inbound.
Like, there are ones that aren't made by FromSoft that are pretty good. Remnant from the Ashes, I think, is one. Salt and Sanctuary. There's, just off the top of my head, I can't think of ones, but I know there's others that are pretty good. It's just, outside of those, there's a lot of crap.
Data transfer complete. Terminating access. We've got a good deal of information, but there's more. Locate other cogitator stations.
I mean, you look at Lords of the Fallen. Lords of the Fallen realistically was a good game. Mechanically, it sucked. Because it kept going in random directions. You know, oh, your total souls, when you die, if you take long to get to them, you end up, it starts decaying. So it's like, okay, you gotta rush, but you move at just a snail's pace. And some of the enemies have really whack combat patterns, or just, some of them are just flat out immune to certain, I think there's one that, like, you can't backstab because he just spins to you instantly in like a frame. You know, stuff like that where the game's design kind of played against itself. I say the same thing about, you know, Doom Eternal. They add the Marauders, which, while they're constantly pushing this high speed, low drag, jump, air dash, double jump, punch a dude in the nuts, double jump away, crackhead speed combat, they'd, you know, throw the Marauder at you and be like, hey, you need to just straight up stop what you're doing to fight this guy. And then they proceeded to be like, oh, well, we fixed that by adding the hammer to stun guys. But it's only in this segment of the DLC.
Let's see what happens now.
Accessing hostile network. Data siphon protocols initiated. Warning, enemy response teams nearby. Prepare for contact.
And then they also had the audacity to be like, yeah, we want to, you know, kind of have this band-aid to the weak point, or the vulnerability timer on Marauders and stuff. But then they introduce, what was it, the ghost guy that could possess enemies that you had to kill with the microwave beam, otherwise you just possess someone else and make them move faster and hit harder. Then you had the zombie that when they die buffs everyone around them with more speed and damage, and they move at, swear to God, Mach 5.
Objectives are met. All data sermons are now in Inquisitorial custody. Praise the Omnisire.
But yeah, like, Doom Eternal suffers from that issue, too, of the design playing against itself. And I'm afraid any studio that would try to do a 40K Souls game would do something like that. Or they would inadvertently break the game. You know, oh, Psychers are just the best. Or it'd be like, hey, you can fight the Tyranids. And either Tyranids, like Rippers or Termagants or Hormagaunts, would just stunlock you to death. Because of how they'd probably do something along the lines of poise. Or they would introduce some just whack mechanic that just doesn't work. Or they'd make them horrendously weak, but due to their own engine constraints fail to put enough on screen. So it'd be like, here's a Ripper swarm, and it's 4. And you just like smack them once and they all explode, and you're like, oh, that's it. That's the Rippers or the Termagants. But yeah. That's all for this episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.